Welcome back to another episode of the REINVESTORS Virtual Road Trip, where we are going across the country, coast to coast, interviewing real estate investors and professionals from each province, showcasing the towns they invest in so that you, wherever you're watching from, can get more knowledge of investing in other successful markets.
Oh man, I am so excited today. We have just an incredible guest that was actually a bit of a childhood hero of mine. Jason was born and raised in Regina. He grew up playing hockey, basketball, football, where he learned the value of playing on a great team. He was a beast on the field, played with a big heart, and was drafted by the BC Lions. He was CFL's most outstanding rookie in 2002, most outstanding Canadian player in 04-07, and most valuable Canadian in the 2004 Grey Cup. And the dude has 4 Grey Cup appearances and a big, fancy Grey Cup championship ring from the BC Lions in 2006. He retired in 2012 from the Riders, hence the jersey. We'll be talking about Regina today, and has since started a real estate brokerage where he has seen absolute bomb success and where his kind of primary focus has been residential sales and commercial sales and leasing. So I got to welcome to the show, big fan, Jason Clermont. Thank you so much for your time being here today.
Hey, thanks guys for having me. Bringing me in all the way from the West Coast and coming and virtually visiting my province here in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we're super stoked to be here. Absolute thrilled. And why don't you just kind of tell everybody how they can contact you at first, contact the brokerage if they want your services, and then tell us more about who you are, what you've been doing, and how you got here.
Yeah, if you just Google JC Realty Regina or go to our website, jcrealty.com, you'll be able to find us. And our phone number and everything's on there. Get a hold of me if you have somebody coming in or going out of Regina, or you want to look at investing in our Saskatchewan market.
Cool. And so, transitioning from football into real estate, what was that like and what have you been doing?
So 2006, the year we won the Grey Cup in BC with the Lions, I had a knee injury at the start of the year, and it was a pretty serious injury that was going to possibly end my season, and we didn't know how bad it was. It might have ended my career. And at that point, I knew that I needed to have a backup plan as far as what am I going to do after football. It was my fourth year in the league, and I was on the training table, and I decided to register and go back to the University of Regina to finish off the 7 classes I had for my degree. And at the same time, I also ordered my real estate books to take the course here in Saskatchewan. I had done a few transactions in BC and really liked real estate and wanted to get into it a little bit more and do it in my hometown.
That's such a cool story and such a cool transition. So many people idolize people that were in the sports industry and then where they go after. And I think it's really cool to see that you shifted into real estate. I know a lot of professional athletes do that. Before we jump into the Regina market and hear about that, Steve and I are very heavy into Kidsport Victoria. We think it's a big reason of why we've had the success we've had. We both played sports growing up and found that being a part of a good team and learning those leadership skills and the things that come along with playing sports has allowed us to get to where we are. And just last year, we were able to raise over $15,000 for Kidsport Victoria and really support our local community into learning that. So just quickly, what's something you learned from playing sports, or how has it influenced your life that you're actually able to use in your real estate career now?
I learned everything through sport. You learn discipline, you learn how to overcome adversity. And these are all very cliche things that you hear all the time, but we are in a culture right now where there aren't a lot of situations or opportunities where you can truly be challenged. And sport, when you're competing in sport, it takes away all of the bubble wrap and all of the cushioning you might have that your parents can present to you, and any sort of relax or comfort that you think you can have. You can't have it on the field of play because your competitor's trying to beat you. And so it's the perfect environment to learn how to deal with confrontation, how to thrive under pressure, how to prepare for challenges, and how to overcome adversity. And so everything I've learned in my life, I can attribute to sport.
That's so cool. And I know Steve might touch on this in a little bit, but I just think that's one of the best things that Steve and I have done was going through sport, relating it to our careers now, and then now using our career to support more people getting back into sport. And I will forever do that. So is there anything you want to add to that, Steve, now or?
No, man, I think that was the spot on. It's confirmation of everything that we've been doing. I think especially today, there's just, a lot of business owners right now are facing that huge brick wall of adversity. And so having the background that we have through sports, obviously you more than us, but it's something that we want to give back to future generations. So it's something definitely special to all three of us on this call.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, let's jump into Regina here. Share with us a little bit about it. What does the town look like? What are some of the economic drivers? What are the industries, demographics, things like that? To share a little bit about what the town looks like.
So when I started real estate in 2006, they used to joke that you can get anywhere in 5 minutes, but there's nowhere you want to go. But we saw a boom. We saw a boom in 06, 07, and our market residential prices increased by 44% between 2006 and 2007. And the drivers were obviously the oil industry. They were potash, and we were doing a lot of immigration into Saskatchewan. And because the prices were low, people were able to get a great family home and immigrate to Canada, and a lot of it was happening through Saskatchewan. So our housing market bloomed and boomed at that point, and we obviously saw some drop off in 08 with the markets and the changes to oil. So our drivers here are labor, and our drivers are immigration, which obviously labor goes in hand, as well as potash and the construction that goes along with creating potash mines. We in the past have been headquarters for some of the bigger companies like Viterra, and so those types of companies. Regina in particular is more of a government town because we do have the legislative building, as opposed to Saskatoon. It's a little bit different, but our market is 250 to 270,000 people in Regina, and it's slightly bigger in Saskatoon. And I think there's 1.5 million people in Saskatchewan, and realtors in Saskatchewan or agents in Saskatchewan, we are licensed provincially. So can do real estate north to south to east to west, all of the borders of Saskatchewan. Typically don't. You typically refer the stuff out in the areas that you're not familiar with. But as far as investing is concerned, I've got a deal on the go right now. It's some multifamily investors, and part of the package is in Current. We've looked at stuff in Yorkton. We piece it together into Regina as well as other markets. And I watched your guys' video. You talked about what timing the market, and do you wait for market drop? And you kind of laid out what the numbers would be as far as what you're giving up by waiting, as far as the cash flow is concerned. And I really appreciated that you put value in the structure of the deal. I think a lot of times people overlook the structure and the timing of a deal. And we're seeing that with our market currently. There's a lot of different deals happening right now with vendor takebacks and those types of things. And the cap rate and the purchase price and the current rent rolls aren't always the most important things. What can you see in that deal as it matures moving forward? What's the structure of the deal? And what are you able to foresee during the term of your deal as far as appreciation, equity, making improvements, changing the rent roll, those types of things. So I really appreciated the last video you did.
Yeah, touched on so many good points there, and kudos to Steve for putting that together. It was an incredible video, just touching on so many different points. And like you said, so many people forget that it's a lot of the deals that we talk about, you can't find great deals. You have to create them, and you have to go out into the market and get with someone like you who understands that it's not just about looking for the economies that are up on the boom. It's actually finding stuff in those economies that can keep sustainability and getting good deals on them and doing that. In your demographic right now, what is or in your town right now, like what's a typical sale price for a house, like a single family home? What's the range look like there?
Well, I'm going to look like that. There's such a wide range. I think our HBI, which is the home price, or HPI, which is the home price index, or the benchmark price, it's somewhere between 280 and 320. But like a typical home, a typical suburban family home, dual income family, 1,800 square foot, 2-story, you're probably looking into that 450 range. But I kind of want to draw a parallel to you had an example in your last video of an up-down duplex,
yep.
right? And it was a $600,000 property.
Yep.
I currently have an up-down duplex listed for sale in a newer subdivision in Regina called Harbor Landing. And we're currently listed at 409.9, and it's a 3-bed up, 2-bed down. It's a regulation suite. Everything's on separate meters. It's fully landscaped, separate entrance to each unit, and a double detached garage. So obviously our market, as far as the prices are concerned, much different. The rents that we're getting on that main floor are $1,400, and the basement is currently paying $975. So I don't know how that compares to the rent rolls that you guys are talking about, but
yeah, it's definitely a favorable price. And a lot of what we talk about in investing is just how easy it is to get in. And a lot of people, the issue here where we are in Victoria is just such a high price point to get. And a lot of people don't have the extra capital to be able to put down when you start talking in the $600,000 to $700,000 price range. Not only do they not cash flow, but it's just harder to get the down payment for it. So that's why a lot of people love the Saskatchewan market, because it's just cheaper to get in there. If we were to switch conversation into a multifamily conversation, what are some cap rates that you're seeing out there?
Well, and again, I don't want to discuss the cap rates right now because they're so off. And our commercial real estate, the vacancies are so off as well right now. I think that stuff will settle out. So this deal that I currently have on the go, it's not about the cap rate as much as it is about the structure of the deal. It's a pretty heavy VTB where the vendor is going to hold 25%. And is going to be balloon payments throughout the term with the option to do a refi in a few years and make another balloon payment. So it's beneficial to the purchaser who doesn't have to liquidate and come out of a huge cash position. They're able to have a relationship with the current owners and understand the management and be partners with the current owners for a couple of years. The current owners are able to lessen their tax burden by out at scheduled times. So again, just to throw out a purchase price and a cap rate, it doesn't tell the true story of a lot of the deals that are being structured right now.
Couldn't agree with that statement anymore. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just saying, I love the creativity to it, and like what you're just saying, it's more about the deal itself than a lot of times the stats on it kind of thing.
Right.
And just rewinding back to that residential example, at 410 with those rents, off quick math, you're cash flowing $500 a month there. So still an excellent market to find cash flow at a more affordable entry point than a place like Victoria where our HPI is 800.
Well, you're going to eat the portion of that with the property taxes still as well, right?
Okay, fair enough. A little more property taxes out there than we have, maybe.
Maybe. I think this unit is about $4,500 a year.
Okay, yeah, a little bit more then. Yeah.
But jumping into a quick convo here, like say we're someone from BC that has some capital and is looking to invest in Saskatchewan. Which way would you direct somebody if they wanted to start making their money work for them? Would you recommend they go into a single family buy and hold with a suite? Maybe a house with a flip, maybe a small multi. What are you seeing as kind of a secure place for people to put their money right now?
I would say the multifamily. And I think, and I know you just said that the idea in your last video was if you buy sooner than later, you start already accumulating that cash flow and that principal pay down. But I feel like in the next couple months, there are going to be a lot of very, very good deals to have on multifamily. We've been hovering over just over that $100,000 per door on a typical, 2-bedroom, 800 square foot apartment rental unit. And the market's not really accepting that unless it's a superior property with a bunch of different, roof has been redone, boiler system's been redone, new PVC windows, new kitchens in all the units. Like those will fetch $1 over $100,000. But the market's not really accepting of that, so it's dragging that down a bit. And when I started in real estate, we were looking at 60 and 70 a door, and we're not there yet, but we're trending back down to those levels. And with the current rates on lending, it makes it very, very attractive to pick up some multifamily units.
Yeah, no kidding. And it sounds like we're almost at that like March 10th point on the stock market before things kind of like really chill out, but on the Regina real estate market.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on as far as businesses being insolvent due to the pandemic, as well as changes to lending that affect what 5% down buyers are going to be able to afford come July 1st. And those changes may not seem like they're going to affect the rental market in more multifamily apartment style buildings, but it all affects each other. When people aren't able to buy a property, they don't have more than the 5% down, or they're not qualifying for the property that they see fit for their lifestyle, and they're not buying, they still have to live somewhere.
Yeah.
So now they're renting, right? So that should have as people if they become more insolvent on their own mortgages, and they have to give up their properties, or if they have to sell their properties, they still have to live somewhere. So I think we will see our vacancy rate as far as residential is concerned. I feel like that will be filled up fairly quickly in Saskatchewan in the next couple of years.
Interesting. Yeah, we've often said that, during a recession, the asset class that you do want is multifamily, because it's a little bit more diversified, a little less exposed to different risks. And you have that point that you just made of, if I'm new buyer and I can't qualify because my income's been cut, or I've lost work or whatever, or I just haven't been able to save as much, well, I still have to live somewhere. Where am I going to live? It's going to be where I'm at now, a 5-story 50-unit building, and so you got to live somewhere.
Exactly.
What was your first real estate deal?
My first purchase was a condo in Surrey off of 152nd.
Okay.
And I had on a different unit that was 2003, and there was something in the marketplace in BC where they would call it the leaky condos, where there was the facade of the buildings had stucco, but it was either the paper or the wire or something, they didn't put the stucco on correctly. So a lot of these buildings were getting water penetration in between the actual framing of the building and the exterior finish. And so there were a lot of different assessments being done to a lot of buildings. And my first deal that I didn't go through with was a leaky condo deal that, in hindsight, my realtor told me that I should have bought, because there were not many issues in that building. There was a pending assessment that might have cost $30,000 per unit. My purchase price on that was going to be $70,000. So I would have been into it for $100,000 worst case scenario. The assessment didn't come back at $30,000. It came back under $5,000.
Oh.
And the guy who did buy it turned it around, a year and a half later at $150,000. So.
Oh man, don't you hate hindsight sometimes?
Well, I did buy something else, and I did make money off of that, but it's not as good a story. Yeah.
Yeah, that leaky condo situation sucked out here, and thankfully, I think 99.9% of that has been resolved now. I think there was a mandate in the early 2000s to solve that, but
right.
I do want to kind of I'm curious why. I guess maybe we've talked about it a little bit, but why did you pick real estate after football? There's so many different avenues you could have gone to build a brand, to work with creating something that's yours in a business, and the stocks is can provide some passive income, that kind of stuff. Why real estate?
Well, because you eat what you kill, and that's that competitive nature that you're fully in control of what you do with your time. You're fully in control of the type of money that you can make. I did explore going into being an investment consultant, and I met with a very well-known firm in Canada and sat down with them, explained the process, what would I be selling, and I just wasn't comfortable with the whole setup and that there were bonuses or benefits to selling a product that was held by a certain company as opposed to what was best for the client. And so I got into real estate. I sat down with my realtor Kim Beck out of Royal LePage North Star in BC, who I had done deals with, who told me that I should have bought that leaky condo, who worked with me on a few other deals while I was there. And I sat down with her and discussed the option of becoming a real estate agent, and worked with her and got my books, took my courses, and got my license at the end of 06.
Nice. I think there's a lot of associations that you can create between sport and running a business, certainly real estate. Oftentimes in real estate, there's partnerships, right? Like the multifamily now is probably a partnership type deal. Obviously in sport, you have, a bench of people that you have to, work well with. And so, putting yourself in both brackets, what are some things that you look for in a teammate?
It's funny you say that, because I own with a partner my brokerage here in Regina, JC Realty, and we have met with a few real estate agents who want to join our brokerage, and we kind of break it down to 4 things that we look for in these agents, because our business model isn't to build a big brokerage. We don't want to manage 70 people, but we don't turn away good talent. And so we don't actively seek out to have people join us. But when somebody inquires, they got to meet a few criteria. And number 1 is brand. Do they represent our brand, right? Are they representative of the things that we would do? And will they carry our brand the way we want it to be carried? So that's first and foremost. Second is a culture. Do they fit our culture? Do they have a similar mindset as the people that we have here? And I'm not saying they have to be a uniform person that, we've got a cookie cutter agent that is in our brokers. That's not how it is at all. It's, do they fit the culture as far as the ethics and the way that we speak to people and those types of things? And then what do they bring to the table? What are they bringing? I don't think anybody should sit at a table to eat if you're not bringing something to it. And we've found that our agents here, maybe not on the surface you wouldn't notice if you were to look at the roster of our agents and say, oh, I can see exactly why they're there. But every single one of our agents who's here, they bring something unique to the table, whether it's somebody who specializes in foreclosures, which we have, whether it's somebody who is able to do business not only just in the community as a realtor, but they have another business that they run. Do they have connections in that regard, or bring to the table a different sphere, a different group of people as far as their community is concerned that we can mesh into our client base. So everybody here brings something different to the table. So and I think that's what you look for in every relationship you have in life, whether it's business or sport or just your personal relationships.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been really passionate about for our partnerships that we've done is the value aspect of it. I think a lot of it you can kind of build off of in a lot of different ways, but if you don't have those core values, you're not going to be aligned long term.
Right. Yeah. And they break down. If you don't have, if you don't each bring value, that relationship breaks down over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, typically in the real estate side of things, your partnerships are, 5 years long.
At least, yeah.
Oh. From being a fan in the stands, you always looked so composed on the field. I'm curious if that is the same in the boardroom and what clients would say about your negotiation tactics.
You know what? I can't take full credit for being a calm and composed person. And I work with this with my athletes and especially with my children and my son. And it's about controlling your emotion and being present, but also separating yourself from a situation to make decisions based on what you're seeing with your mind's eye. And that's something I learned from Geroy Simon. We would be at the end of a game and the crowd would be going nuts and we'd be maybe down by 4 or 5 and we'd be out on offense and there'd be 40 seconds left on the clock. TV timeout and the whole place is going nuts, and you look across and the defense, all the defensive backs are hitting each other and getting hyped up, and G-Roy's just kind of standing there in the huddle. And I asked him one time, I said, dude, how are you so calm? He's like, the calmest guy in the room is the one who's going to win. I look across and I say, you know what? Their buttholes are getting tight. They're fighting against their own body. If I'm the calmest, coolest guy out there, who do you think's going to win on a jump ball? Yeah. And he did it every single time. So for somebody to tell you that calm is a superpower, that doesn't mean anything. You have to actually see, like, in action, where does somebody who can be calm and collected, where do they actually succeed? And Giro was a great example of that.
Yeah, was he ever? Watching you guys in 2006 was just a thing of beauty. Like, you couldn't be stopped. And I'm curious on just, looking up to Giro on a teammate level, but maybe in that aspect a little bit of a mentorship level. Who were some big mentors in your life?
Well, I've been fortunate to have some great coaches, and as far as my football career was concerned, Wally Bona was an amazing coach. He was a guy who you didn't have to agree with what he was saying at all the times, but you could respect it and understand where he was coming from. I also had some great teammates, and I had great coaches growing up. And, so when I say that everything that I've learned in life comes from sport, I spent so much time in sport, whether it was as a youth, as a professional player, or as a coach. I'm still involved in sport. All of my kids are involved in sport. I help to coach most of the sports that they're in. And I've coached high school football in New Westminster with Varanlology, coached high school football here in Regina. I coached a youth team that we just went down to Texas in February, and we went 4-0 and won the whole tournament. Didn't have a point scored against us. And it's pretty exciting to go down and play against those American teams and take our 10U team and go undefeated like that. And, so those experiences and the time spent with different coaches and different teammates and now youth and parents, it just allows you to be in situations where you have confrontation. That's what sport is about. Sport is about, there's a goal, and let's pit two people who want that same goal against each other. And one of them has to win and one of them has to lose. And so, like, the value of that to me is you can't get anything better as far as understanding what life is all about. And like I said, I really feel like, especially for the youth nowadays, that's something they need to experience to be able to prepare them for life after school.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Yeah. I have a question that's about hunger and drive and staying committed. So, like, again, I think there's so many awesome parallels here that I love, and I could talk to you about this kind of stuff all freaking day for centuries probably. But put yourself at the very beginning of the season. You want to win a championship, but there's a ton of time between your opening night and championship game. Similarly, in real estate, can be a lot of time before you get your first property, or in between, your stepping stones from going from your first investment property to your second or fifth or 12th or whatever that looks like. How today do you stay, and more so from a give advice perspective to investors listening, how do you stay hungry through all of that with such a clear vision when you might be up against that wall where you can't find the right properties, you might not have the right team, or you're just getting started? How do you stay hungry in this type of time?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can rely on hunger, and I don't think you can rely on motivation, because those are two fleeting things. Coach Ken Miller, who was a coach here in at the Saskatchewan Roughriders when I played from 2009 to 2011, he said that commitment is following through with the decision even after the emotion for making that decision has passed. That's what commitment is. Following through with the decision even after the emotion for making that decision has passed. So how when somebody says, hey, we're having a barbecue this Friday, do you want to come? And it sounds like a great idea, and you say, yeah, we'll be there. And then Friday rolls around, you don't feel like going. Right? Committing to something is following through with it after the emotion of that decision has passed. So I think that hunger and motivation are good catapults, but commitment and discipline are what you need to be able to follow through with something. There's a huge difference between motivation and discipline. And discipline is creating the habits over and over again that are going to get you to the point that the end goal, that your motivation helped to catapult you into a state of discipline, into a state of new habits. So I don't think that hunger and motivation can get you through to your end goal, but I definitely know that commitment and discipline can.
Dude, that is pure gold. Steve and I strive so much on self-development, and we believe so strongly in investing in ourselves and learning that kind of thing. And when you get an attitude like that, you just become unstoppable. And you can clearly tell by the way you're speaking and what you're presenting that it's calm, cool, collective, but very methodical. And I think that's something that we really admire and appreciate you bringing to the table, because as investors, Steve and I can get pretty fired up at times. It's nerve-wracking when you're going through deals and going through all the due diligence and everything along the way. And I think what you brought up about being calm, cool, and collective through it all, you know, how you can persevere through that, I think is probably one of the best nuggets that we've had on this entire road trip, because there is so much going on. So my question for you is, throughout your career as a real estate agent or by just buying real estate, is there ever a moment where you've had that same sense of emotion in real estate where like, I want to buy something, but I don't, or this is too big, or that I don't know exactly how it's going to go, and had to have that same calm, cool, and collective moment?
See, most of my dealings in real estate are being that non-partial third party where I'm representing either the seller or the buyer, and I'm able to logically explain to them what the impact of their decision is going to be, whether they're reacting on emotion or whether they're reacting logically, and spell out for people what the implications of the decision are going to be in the short term and the long term. So as far as my own investments are concerned, I've been invested in commercial real estate, residential real estate, as in businesses. And it's odd because as calm, cool, and collected as you are when you're dealing with somebody as a third party, as an agent, you lose sight of that when it's your own money, right? So you sometimes need somebody. If I were to sell my own property here in Regina, I wouldn't list it and sell it myself. I would have my business partner do it for me.
Totally. And that's another huge value add, as Steve and I work very closely with our team. You know, our real estate agents are right-hand guys. Like when Steve and I start getting a little bit squirrely or out there, it's to have them be able to round us up and take care of us and make sure we're staying calm, cool, and collective is something that a lot of people don't see in qualities in agents. They get pretty wound up too, and they get pretty fiery. They're pretty feisty guys normally. So I can see 100% the value of having someone like yourself in our corner, supporting us along the way. You just talked a little bit about a deal or two you've done. Looking at it all now, do you prefer to be on the active side or the passive side? Are you the kind of guy that just wants to invest in projects and let it doing on a side? Or are you the guy that actually likes to be hands-on involved in the project?
I think we're all guys who think we want to be passive. We want a passive residual income. But I've been involved in enough business ventures and partnerships that I know that that's not my nature. And it's not possible. If I put my money in and everything's going fine, then I don't need to involve myself. But things don't always go fine, and typically they don't. Typically there are things that need to be navigated, and so you'll find yourself, or I find myself inserting myself in different business ventures that now I have to follow a new learning curve to understand. Okay, I knew that I wanted to be a silent partner and just put money in, but now that things aren't going the way that I think they should be, now you dig into it a little bit further, you start becoming more involved. So I think ideally everybody would like to be a passive investor, but I know my nature, I'm more of an active investor.
I can definitely relate to that one. We have a couple of passive sides that we've been a part of, and I'm always just looking to like peek in the curtain and be like, hey, so what's going on here? Can I help?
That's a tough balance. It's a tough balance to know what your role is, and I think you have to try and experience it to know exactly what your own nature is. And it's good that you guys are doing that so young. so that you'll understand what type of partnerships are going to work for you, what type of agreements are going to work for you. And I mean, I've found that these relationships have a shelf life. So you've got to plan. You've got to have exit strategies for your different partnerships and exit strategies for your different investments. And you've got to think of it as a life cycle and deal with it in compartmentalized different time periods.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe that there's a work-life balance at all?
I think there has to be. Can you clarify what you mean by the question? Because
just lots of people ask, like, oh geez, like how do you stay all on top of your business but still have, a fulfilled family life or personal life? And it's something I'm reflecting on right now, is like 90% of my day is in business and I love it. Right. But I do want to have more family time as well. It's a hard time prioritizing it.
Right. Figure out what your important time is that you want to spend with your family, and block it off, and don't sell that time. Because that's all we do with ourselves, is we sell our time. It's the only thing that we have that we've been selling. And if it's a valuable thing to you, and it's a valuable thing that you want to share with your family, do you have more value bringing money to a family that you're not spending any time with? What is the point of bringing more money to a table when everybody's already gone to bed and you're at that table from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and you don't even see them? Yeah. So, don't sell the important time. Keep that for your family.
Goes right back to the beginning of this, where you just commented on commitment and discipline.
Yeah.
And the consistency of it. Well, we do have some rapid fire questions for you, and let's jump into that. It's meant to be kind of fun and quick off the cuff kind of thing. So just in terms of Regina, what is one thing that every visitor needs to see or do in that city?
Go to a Rider game.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the Rider fans are awesome. They're crazy. So if you haven't been to a Rider game, you got to go to a Rider game.
Yeah, and new stadium as of last year, right?
Couple years now.
Okay. P.S. Just going back to the family thing, my dad says hi. I had to get that in there.
Yeah, I got to meet your family outside my building. You guys were driving through Regina one time.
Yeah.
Awesome. What is a local business that you want to give a shout out to?
22 Fresh. You guys heard of 22 Fresh?
No.
Google it. They outfit nationwide sports apparel, and they're fire, as the kids say. 22fresh.ca.
Cool.
Nice. Awesome. If you could have a fireside chat with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, a fireside chat. I'm going to go with my grandpa. My grandpa, Morin, my mom's dad, he passed away when I was a teenager, and spent some summers out with him, and would really like to sit down and catch up.
Cool. What's one real estate related book or podcast or something that you would recommend for investors?
A book, hey, or a podcast? Well, I currently listen to Jeb Blunt's Sales Gravy, and he doesn't talk so much about real estate, but getting back to the basics of selling. And awesome. Jeb Blunt's really good at breaking down selling. And it's if you're going to watch any movie, I tell you to watch Glengarry, because it's awesome. It's an awesome real estate film. But Jeb Blunt is a good salesperson.
Sales are just so important, and not enough people get any kind of training in that space.
Right.
All right, a couple of would you rathers. Would you rather have a championship ring and be flat broke, or no ring but Oprah rich?
No, I don't care about the ring. I want the championship. I don't wear the ring, but yeah. I'm good where I'm at. I'll keep my ring.
Yeah. Right on.
I love that. I love that answer. Would you rather the headache of dealing with 10 different people buying 10 different properties, or just one person, but they only buy 6 properties?
Oh, geez. Depends. Like, you get different personalities with those 10 different people. And you've got typically on those deals, not only are you dealing with the personalities of your client, but you're dealing with the personalities of the other client on the other end and their agent. So in a perfect world, if all 10 of those deals went together perfectly, I'd take that. But if we're talking about one client buying 6 properties, and I have a good relationship with that client, I guess that's probably the way to go.
Great. All right, here's a good one for you. Would you rather live in a Alouettes jersey for a year or plunge a overflowing tenant's toilet for an hour?
You know what? I had a contract offer in 2012 to go play with the Montreal Alouettes. So I was this close to actually going there and trying to play one last season, and I didn't. So I had mentally resolved myself to being an Alouette, so I'd wear the Alouette jersey.
Gotcha.
That's awesome, man. Well, look, we want to respect your time, and we really appreciate you doing with us. Once again, where can people reach out to if they like what they heard and want to reach out and maybe want to get to know the Regina market a little bit more?
They can find me at jcrealty.com or just Google me, Jason Clermont, and you'll be able to find my phone number. Call me 306-581-8982. I'm here anytime.
Awesome. We absolutely love that. And we're just honored to have you on here. I know Steve's been a little schoolgirl about it and just excited to be able to interview and hear what you're up to. So if you guys are interested in learning more about Jason, go hit him up. Also, there's people like him inside our REINVESTORS community on Facebook. You can just Google the REINVESTORS community, and that's where we'll be dropping a lot more of these interviews. So in the meantime, thanks for watching this interview with Jason Clermont. Join us on our next episode as we continue to interview real estate experts across Canada, learning about what strategies work there, work where. Thanks so much, Jason, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care.
Dude, thanks a lot. You as well.